Supreme wisdom, student enrollment. That's what the class of God students enrolling. Supreme wisdom, I study it hard. The study of myself is the study of God. Supreme wisdom, write your letter, get your X. Supreme wisdom, that's what you'll be getting next. Supreme wisdom, some call it the lessons, but I call it life, actual facts, no guessing.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared and intervened in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. No. And I further bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was raised up as Master Fard Muhammad's messenger, the messenger of Allah, and that he walked among us as our Savior and Messiah. And now has been exalted to the position of Christ. Okay? He has been given the power over the forces of nature. So that went out there in the rain, he has control over that.
That's right.
Now I want us to really think about that, because you know, some people say you're being spooky. But it's real that if you are so in tune with the God that you can literally control the forces of nature. Think of it. So, he has been exalted to the position of Christ. And when people come to you and say, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the leader of the Nation of Islam, that's not correct. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the eternal leader of the Nation of Islam. No. How long is that?
Forever.
Forever.
Like Wakanda.
So, forever. She said like Wakanda. So anyway, that means forever. So, he is the leader of the Nation of Islam. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was told to sit in the seat of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and to act well among the people. He said to take his place and act well among the people. And he has done that. He has been, that's why we are here today.
That's right.
If it were not for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sitting in the seat of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there would not be a Nation of Islam as we speak.
Think on that.
Yes. He sacrificed everything. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said in the believers meeting or the business meeting, he said that he had fallen down for 30 months. And he told us that we fall down to, or slip, he said, get up, dust yourself off and go to work. When Brother Jabril spoke to him and gave him that word, and he understood that he was supposed to be the one to carry the mantle to the next phase of the Nation of Islam, he got up that night and went out and taught somewhere. Just think about that. The minister, I want to put this in perspective. This is a long salutation, but anyway. I want to put this in because I know I got something to talk about. But I just want us to put this in perspective because we're living in this time. Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that he had long hair. And he was wearing braids in his hair, cornrows like many of our brothers are doing right now. Think about that. He said he was drinking a little cognac and smoking some Cuban cigars, and that word hit his brain so profoundly that he is like, you lying down flat, horizontal, and all of a sudden, like, you have some kind of spring on your back and pop you up, and he just went out and went to work. Think about that. That is a mighty word that will get you up from a grave immediately and go to work. So I just want to say that all praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the first of those who slept to be raised from the dead. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the first begotten of the dead, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the first of those who slept. Okay? So, and there are three great names. I want to greet you all with greeting words of peace of As-salamu alaikum. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Praise be to Allah. Last week, we went over some material, but we didn't have a lot of attendance, and it's a lot of material, so for those of you that have come out tonight, I want to just, if those who were here last week, just indulge us, please, so we could go back and kind of catch you all up, because there's a lot of material. And so I want to go over what we went over last week, And inshallah, you all will find it very interesting. And Brother Darrell, this is a classroom, so it's not like a lecture. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, you can feel free to jump in and make your question, ask your question or make your comment. So we are continuing on what the lecture, or the topic that we were teaching on is who is the original man? And we're going back in the beginning. Now, of course, the beginning is a very, very long time ago. A long time ago. So some people may ask, well, why do we care about what happened in the beginning? So long ago, it's not relevant to us. But we're told how Allah created himself in the beginning is how we began. And so when the God created himself, he found out within himself there was an imperfection. And so he had to go about figuring out how to correct the imperfection. You know, a lot of us, and I've been thinking about this, have problems in relationships, such as marriages, such as friendships, and these relationships that we have with one another. And we, in our disappointment, what we will do is throw away the person, throw away the relationship, because we feel like it can't be repaired. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teach us that any relationship can be repaired. But what we have to do is agree upon the truth. And I'm saying that to say, from the standpoint of that, the God in the beginning, when he found that there was something wrong, and the relationship was basically with himself. When he found something wrong, he could have just destroyed what he made and started over again. He wasn't worried about time. But what he did instead, he went after correcting it. He went after fixing what was wrong. So what I'm saying to us, that it doesn't matter what imperfection that we see within ourselves, what imperfection we see within others, what imperfections exist within relationships. If we have a great enough wisdom, we actually can correct them. And because we've been given a blueprint of how to correct a problem, what we do is that we go to the blueprint and we apply that to our situation, and we can bring about perfection within the relationship that we have with ourselves, the relationship that we have with others. So with that being said, I want to talk about the concept of the woman. Now in this course, we're dealing about the wombed man. We have this little image here of Gaia that's supposed to be Mother Earth. And so we have a 4-week course. We have 2 more weeks. I think this week and next week will be the last week for this round. And we have dealt with the wombed man, or the second self of Allah, God. Tonight we're going to deal with the duality in nature. We dealt with a little bit last week. The wombed man, or the second self of God, perfection through the womb. The creation of the sun. Next week we'll deal with that. Allah goes to war with the darkness. We're going to deal with the creation of the sun, thought forms matter. I'm just skipping through because that was from last week. We're going to deal with the woman as the secret of God. The secret is the most, that secret was the most carefully guarded of all secrets, the knowledge of God, how life is created in the womb of the woman, and the importance of the female. Going back to the beginning, who is the original man? Of course, we know, because we all had to recite, that the original man is the Asiatic, or earthy black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. So, we dealt with, could you move the projector over just a bit, please? Thank you. Allah, the originator, willed himself into existence. He used the substantive darkness, or the material darkness, of the universe to build a body up for himself. And it took him and that should be a capital H in him, took him 6 trillion years from 82 trillion years ago to 76 trillion years ago to build up enough brain to think himself out of darkness. Now, from the study guide number 19, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan states, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that God had to develop brain in order to think through darkness. It took pains and eons of time for God to build himself up in the darkness. He was the light of himself and had light in himself. Since the basis of his life is electricity, he had light in himself. From his own brain, he envisioned sun and then called it into existence. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Allah formed himself not from a mother, but out of the dark womb of space. Space and the darkness of it became his womb, and he came out of that darkness. Now, after he completed his make, he studied himself. He discovered imperfection in himself. He discovered a brown germ in himself that was weak and dormant. And that's one of the things, that he found the imperfection in himself. And then in order to solve the problem of the imperfection, he also discovered a second self in himself, a wombed man that was made after the womb of space out of which he created himself. So this introduction, the womb or wombed man was the Allah's first act of creation. In the Holy Quran it says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, say, He, Allah, is one. Allah is He on whom all depend. He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is none like Him. This is from Surah 112, the unity. It's also called Al-Ikhlas. That means, that word Al-Ikhlas, we say unity, but it actually means a thing that has been purified from its imperfections, from its impurities, like dross. If you read the commentator, Maulana Muhammad Ali, he says it's like gold. When you mine gold, you really can't tell it's gold because it has this green residue on the top of it called dross. And so what you do with that gold is that you take it and that you put it in fire. And then you start burning off the impurities, okay? And then what you do is that you get the part of the gold and then you skim off the dross, the stuff that's not gold off the top. And then, that's how you go from 12 karat gold to 14 karat gold, is by the more impurities you take out, the higher the number of the gold is, the carat of the gold is, based upon the impurities being taken out of it. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the human being is like gold. Said that gold is a perfect transmitter of electricity. Okay? So that the human being is like gold. We are perfect transmitters of the Spirit of God. Once the imperfections of self have been removed. That's the unity of God. If you're a perfect transmitter of the Spirit of God, then what are you? You're God. Because there's nothing impeding the Spirit of God coming through you, such as the ego, such as, these different impediments that we have. So you are actually, in your person, become God. Not the originator, maybe not even, the best knower, but literally within your person, when somebody sees you, they're seeing God. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, when you look at the black man and woman, you're looking at God. Now, not in actuality, but in potential. So that's why we come through this process called the mosque. It's like a dojo, okay? What we come in here to build up the God spirit within ourselves, and we have to go through difficulty, right? We all have gone through difficulties being in the mosque, right? We've all gone through fire being in the mosque, right? And so what that does, if you survive the process, then you come out more purified on the other side. Praise be to Allah. But don't abandon the process. Right. This is how we become God. God didn't punk out. God went through the fiery furnace and allowed himself to be purified, and was actually able to calculate. He's the ultimate mathematician. The actual year when, from him building up another brain, he calculated using his divine calculator and said to himself, 76 trillion years from today, I will have perfected a perfect form. A perfect form. And my will be able to come through that perfect form and have the power to actually recreate a new universe. Yes. Yes.
Well, question,
Yes.
was that an Earth year?
Yes.
So the Earth was created once he started talking about 76 trillion years, Earth years from now.
Well,
Because a year, is different on each planet. Because it's a rotation around the sun.
this
So
is
if
correct.
he, and unless he had made the Earth yet,
Yes.
it was on it. And
Okay.
rotating, so that means the sun had to be here and the Earth
I'm ready
to be
for
a
you.
year.
I'm ready for you.
An Earth year. You need the sun and the Earth to get a year.
Okay. Brother?
Well, someone asked, we know that Allah too, it said it's 6 trillion years to create himself from Adam, and
Yes.
then triple dark room space, right? So,
Yes.
like the question I always ask myself, when did the black woman come? I mean, did she come during that 6 trillion years of creation, or did he make her after he formed himself?
Good question.
You know, when was she being formed, he was forming himself in the 6 trillion years?
Yes, sir. But let's go after that tonight. I have some information up there, and at the end of the night, we'll see what you think.
Right.
Okay. All right. Your question. Now, okay. So, according to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is where we always start. Okay? We don't start with Galileo or Copernicus. We don't start with Einstein or any of these people. We start with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What he got from his teacher, Master Farad Muhammad. According to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Theology of Time, bringing my sources, that the Allah, the originator, actually when he created himself out of this atom of water first, it was referred to as an it. Said that electricity, said don't know where it came from, it acted, which means that in that electricity there was a will. It acted on that atom of water. Now that atom of water, and they're just throwing these things out here, we're in class and we don't believe in dogma. So we have to think. Now if you have an atom of water, and this is what we dealt with earlier. So if you have an atom of water, water is also known in its chemical composition as what?
H2O.
Very good, Brother Thomas. H2O. So, what does the H stand for?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. And what does the O stand for?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. So we had 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, right?
Right.
So, these are called what? Hydrogen and elements, okay? So, elements are part of what's called, or matter, is made of elements. Now, what that's saying is that there was something that already existed somehow if you had water, okay? But this water did not have an aim or a purpose. It did not have a function. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I was just thinking about dark matter, so how does dark matter,
Fall into that? That's a good question. Because these are very good questions that we have to go after. How does dark matter fall into this? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said dark matter is the same thing as the substantive darkness. This is not dark matter. This, you know why it's not dark? Because we just drank some just a few minutes ago. So we actually can detect it. Dark matter is something that's undetectable by, any instruments that we have.
right,
So this is matter that we can detect.
but it's still there?
It's even dark matter is there. We just can't detect it. They say dark matter is all around us, but we just don't have the instruments to detect it. Just like before they had a microscope, there was atoms and there was all of this matter at the subatomic level. We just couldn't see it. I'll go Brother Thomas and Brother.
See, these devils doing that CERN, when they smashing the particles,
Mhm.
they trying to find.
The God particle.
Right.
They say that they claim that they found the God particle.
Right.
And they actually have, said that they actually can produce
And contain-
antimatter.
Right, yeah, that's.
And antimatter, if it comes in contact with matter,
Explode.
yes, will destroy everything.
Right.
So they say. But it's impossible to destroy everything.
Right.
So teaches the Most High Allah Muhammad. I'm gonna get back to your question, Brother Thomas.
I believe I had heard some of these so-called astronomers or scientists say that they have seen or looked at the presence of water in the universe.
Yes.
It might not be, in large quantities, as you might think, but there is water in the subsequent darkness in space. And they say they have seen it, which leads them to believe on some, planets and places,
Oh, yeah.
there have to be water, because water is a part of the universe.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
On Mars, they detected, they thought it was made of, what was that? I forget the composition of the water, of the liquid, water. I forget what it was called, but they found it was H2O.
Mhm.
That it was actually frozen in rivers underneath the,
Yeah, right.
so yeah, they have water as we know it on Mars. There's water as we know it, maybe not in a liquid form, but it's even on the moon.
So what I'm saying is, isn't it possible that in the darkness or the triple darkness, that Master Farad Muhammad was able to take an atom's weight of water to create himself?
No,
Hmm?
no, because Master Farad Muhammad wasn't born yet.
No, I mean Allah. I'm sorry, Allah.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, Allah wasn't here as we know it now,
right.
or as we understand Allah.
But as this light or this
It
thought
consciousness.
consciousness called into play or into being certain elements
Mhm.
in the universe, which one was the water.
Right,
That
and that's a
led-
compound. I know we say an element, but it's actually a
Yeah.
compound. Mhm.
Cause it has two elements of
Yes, yes. But yes,
joined together to create.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And these are things that we went over in the the previous classes
Mhm.
in the beginning, a couple of months ago, and they're online, you can catch them there, at least part of it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not finished with your question, but I said it again.
No. I was saying too, I was just.
Okay, Brother Darren.
Well, just touching on what he was saying, I was listening just the other day where he's saying how the atoms has intelligent life. Intelligent.
Consciousness.
Right.
Mhm.
So, I can see
Everything
how
in the
that
universe
atoms
actually
spark
does.
and start forming, so.
Hey, that's where I was getting with this, with her question. Now, when the electricity acted on this water, it began to rotate in this darkness of space. And when it began to rotate, now remember we said that the electricity had to have a will because it acted on this atom. So there was some consciousness already there, existing. And so when it was an atom of water, the Most High Allah Muhammad referred to this atom of water in the soft pronoun of it. But once the water and the electricity came together, he referred to it as heat. Heat, okay? And it began to rotate in the triple darkness of space, okay? And he said that, this is my poor example of an atom, but anyway, it began to rotate. And I put atom. And when it began to rotate, it began to, of course, divide, right? Into two parts, and then it went into, it grew exponentially, then into 4 parts and 16, and so on and so forth. But what happens here is that as it's building up mass, according to the Most High Muhammad, that it was building itself on what we now know as Earth. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little Earth here, I don't, you know, that's a continent of some type. So, the Earth, right? So, it was actually using or producing, as it was building itself, something to be on. Yes.
So, in the outer spark life, or the consciousness, you saying it started building itself on this earth, or
On this Earth.
so
Now, let's use, you remember I said that 76 trillion years, 82 trillion years, a long time ago, why should we even study this?
Right.
It's because how we began. So, I want you to think about how you began
So-
in the womb of your mother.
And that atom spark itself, or you begin to grow.
Yes.
But you saying that there's the earth was simultaneously here at the same
Let me
time,
ask you
or
this.
did
When
it
the
come-
sperm that came from your father met the egg that came from your mother, what happened? So you were there, you should know. I'm just playing.
means the germinator is formed.
Okay, but tell me about the formation. But on your thinking cap, we're gonna think this thing through. Tell me about the formation, what happened?
But once they start from a clot, I think,
Uh-huh.
when they get like
The embryo,
Yeah.
uh-huh, and then it forms into with, you know, all the legs and the, becomes a human being, yeah.
Doesn't it first attach itself?
like, you know, like a chewed piece of gum at first.
Mm-hmm, okay. As he
So-
made a very important point.
Mhm.
The blastula is when it begins to first start dividing, cell division. But in the Quran, it even talks about finding a what? A firm resting place.
Right.
Do you know what that means? That little blastula, those cells,
Okay.
found a place in the mother's uterus to embed it, okay? And when it embedded in that womb, it continued to grow, and at 12 weeks, the fetus was formed. It was like fully formed with arms, legs, even though it was not, you know, in the shape like it is now.
That's why I said everything's created in stages.
Sir?
So that's why you say everything's created in stages.
Stages. But the attachment to the womb, what was produced from that attachment to the womb?
Umbilical cord?
An umbilical cord and,
In the brain.
no, from the womb.
Placenta?
Placenta.
Mm-hmm.
The placenta is what is the function of a placenta to the fetus. What does it function to do? What is its function?
Protection.
Feeds you, man.
It feeds you. That's where you get your nutrients from, right? So-
So the atom building itself.
On its own placenta, which we call Earth.
Okay, I get
You got that?
right.
But
That
think
makes
about
sense.
the human being.
Right.
The elements that make up, that we're made out of, are approximately in the same proportion as that are on the Earth.
So what about the other planets?
Well, they have life that is produced and is produced after the planet is on.
According to,
Mosque of Allah.
that's man.
Yes. So the human body is about 75% water, 25% earth. The human body is almost 75% water, 25% solid matter. Yes.
So which planet did Allah create first? Was it the Earth?
The earth is the center of the universe, so to speak.
Okay.
It's the home of God.
Right. Because we on this earth, we the most supreme alive about all,
That's right.
like you.
That's right.
Okay. That makes sense.
That absolutely makes sense. This is the home of God.
Home planet.
Yes. And it was created first, before the sun. Now, some may ask, well, how is that the case? Now, I'm gonna put this out here, Sister Gabrielle. We don't know exactly the form of the earth. We don't even know it at this point, and I'm just putting it out here, this is not anything that I read in the teachings. If this was on the subjective plane, you know what subjective means? It means, we don't know what, well, I'll say objective plane. We don't know whether or not this was physical, you know, on the physical or the spiritual plane. Okay, so we don't know yet. Because she said that with light, you need light in order to have life. Right? But he was the light of his own self. So there was light present.
That's what I was about to say. Maybe Allah was the sun until he put the sun out there.
That's right. Because the sun came from him.
But at the same time, I mean, was he the sun or was he on earth? I don't know. I wasn't there.
He was everything. Everything that exists came from, say, He Allah is one.
So was he the sun first and then
He had
then
light
made
in
his
himself.
physical body on the earth and then change from pure energy to solid matter? It manifests in the earth.
Now, I go with Einstein on this one. I didn't hear the line of how to say this. Besides Gabrielle, who knows? Besides Gabrielle, who knows what this means?
Energy
Very good.
times molecular structure squared.
Go ahead, brother. Come on. Come on. Structure start with S. Just let you know.
Anybody else?
Go ahead.
Anybody else want to assist? You were very close, brother.
Very close, yeah.
That's the only thing I have to say is that structure start with S. You was
Anybody else want to help? This is Einstein's famous equation. He got it right. He hit it dead on the head. Energy equals,
Mass
very good.
times circumference squared.
Good try. Good try. But C, now this one has nothing to do with that letter.
Okay.
C doesn't actually start with C.
Now, this is in the teachings of the Most High.
C doesn't start with C.
C. Sister Gabrielle, what is it?
The speed of light.
The speed of light.
Speed of light,
Okay.
which is 1,000 miles. No. Speed of light is,
What y'all say?
186,001.
well, that's the distance from Earth, light, that's the speed of light, yeah.
What's the speed of light?
186,000
Very
miles
good.
per second.
Okay, I just didn't hear the 186.
I'm getting
He
confused.
said 186.
Okay, I just
He said
didn't
put
hear
a
it.
unit something.
Okay.
Oh,
Now-
I like to add something.
Yes, sir.
Einstein said that the more he studied mathematics, the more it led him to believe that there's a God.
Yeah. If you have any intelligence, you would.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
And he was a Jew,
He was.
so-called.
So, synagogue said. Now, energy is equal to mass. What is mass?
Mass is
Anything
solid,
besides gas.
substance.
Substance. Anything that
Besides
has,
that.
well, actually, I'm
Volume,
looking for
weight.
matter. So
Matter.
it's same thing as matter. Anything that matters, anything that has mass, okay? And we interchange mass and weight together. That's just in the modern
Mass is
vernacular.
the amount of matter.
I know, in the modern vernacular. And occupies space,
Right.
okay? Times the speed of light, which they call the universal speed limit, okay? 186,000 miles per second. Now, it's an interplay. Energy is equal these two things. So if you take this marker, and I was so powerful that I could throw it and it moved at the speed of light, it would turn into pure energy. But if, by some chance, it slowed down as it was going, it would turn back into this mark, theoretically. So, this is the interchange between energy and matter moving at the speed of light. So her question was about,
The sun.
yes, about the sun. So if you have pure energy, Sister Gabrielle, pure energy is only a different manifestation of matter or something having,
It's fast ass.
yes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So anything, so really, that sunlight is really only a different manifestation of matter. I mean, the sun is only a different manifestation of energy.
That's what I said.
Okay, yes.
What?
So, if we created the sun was 72 trillion years ago, we got 76 trillion years of recorded history. Does that mean that black people, we was here on the planet before we made the sun?
Okay, no, it's 76 trillion years ago when he put the sun into use. So it's at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Well, check this out. See if you were here.
Well,
That's
go ahead.
where it said it's 72 trillion.
76.
We blasted the moon 66 trillion.
66.
And the sun 76 trillion?
76.
I want to watch it. What was 72?
You could go back and fact check.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, brother Thomas and then you.
Two things. According to the teachings, I think it's the actual facts. You know, the black man has no beginning
Nor end.
or no end.
What does that look like? Sister Gabrielle had it.
Huh?
And we're gonna deal with it. This is imperfect,
Uh-huh.
a circle.
Right.
Where's the beginning of the circle? Where's the end of the circle? There is none, brother. Looking at it like, where is it? They're like,
So I see a little smudge right there.
no, it's not right here.
Now, the other part I wanted to say is that I was told through the teachings that we, the black man, put the sun up there.
Right.
We did.
Yeah.
Along
So,
the originator.
scientists, right? So it wasn't.
No, it was the originator.
Yeah. The originator.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's
So.
a scientist, but I just want to say which scientist. The
So
one-
right, as you know, at the time of his creation, there was no sun. He was
Right.
only light.
He was the light of himself.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Sister
fine.
Gabrielle and then Brother Darrell, and then we
Well-
really have to get to our,
Well, how about I throw this scenario out?
throw it out.
Allah is the sun, right?
Don't we
Makes-
call this light-giving sun?
He makes the earth. And then, how do we know, how do we get sunlight here on earth?
It comes from the sun.
Exactly, so that means that the sunlight travels.
Yes.
The light that is, thrown off of the sun travels.
Yes.
And that light can be harnessed and it can make electricity,
Yes.
work with things, it can make things on earth work, it makes plants grow.
Mm-hmm.
And when the plants grow, we eat it.
Mm-hmm.
When we eat it, we get energy, right? So, but at the same time, if you eat that plant, right, it's gonna go through your body, it's gonna come out on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
it's matter.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that you're seeing the interplay between energy
Mm-hmm.
and matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if Allah, I guess after the formation of the earth, he traveled in, broken down energy bits through
Most of the
sunlight.
time, they said it was orbs.
Yeah, and that's how he reached the earth, because sun reaches the earth, sunlight reaches the earth all the time. So there's that's a direct transportation, one-way
Y'all
stop.
gonna make me go an extra week.
So
That's what y'all gonna
what if
do.
he traveled, he broke down, traveled through sunlight,
Mm-hmm.
and then reached his destination Earth.
Too many scientists in
Continue.
here.
So he switched out, you see what I'm saying? And so what was left after he was the light was the sun. And through the light rays that were thrown off from the sun, he traveled to his ultimate destination, which is earth.
Brother Darrell,
Well, okay, isn't the sun a ball of gas?
that's what they say.
Okay, it's like 853,000 miles diameter.
Yes, 53. Mhm.
So, I know it just didn't pop up. So it did have to start with small. I don't know.
Next week,
I don't know.
could you come next week?
Yeah.
We're gonna deal with it. We're gonna go into lessons and deal with that. I got an answer for you. I got a definite answer for that.
Because somebody had to put it there. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And how can somebody take something as hot as the sun and just put it there?
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they burn up?
So it didn't start off like we see it.
Well, and.
We not gonna deal with that this
Okay.
week, Brother Tom.
Oh, okay, all right, no, I was, okay.
We got, that's some good stuff. You know, it was so fascinating about the sun that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was told by Master Farah
So
Muhammad.
don't
He
ask
said, if
me
you
about
ask me about that again, I'm not gonna teach it.
Right.
But we not being, well, I'm not gonna say that. I would say we're not being taught directly by the Most Honorable Elijah, by Master Farah Muhammad. But Mother Tynetta, right before she transitioned, talked about the sun. And she said that she had a dream that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to teach the women about the sun.
Right.
Yeah, it was on Brother Rasul's show. So, let's go ahead and get into this very interesting topic about the wombed man. And Brother wanted to ask the question about when was the woman created.
Right.
So, Tawheed.
That's
Right?
Oneness.
I went and looked it up so I can make sure I said it right.
Tawheed, yeah, it's an
Tawheed.
Arabic word.
For the oneness of Allah.
Oneness of
Okay,
Allah, yeah.
so everything started off with one. We live in a universe of mathematics, right? And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said everything started as one, and everything is trying to go back or resolve down to the number one. Okay? So the oneness of Allah, the number one, it is by definition being a single unit or thing, being the same kind of quality, is the first whole number above zero.
Mhm.
In Arabic, Tawheed, it means the oneness of God, is indivisible oneness concept of monotheism in Islam. Tawheed is the religion's central and single most important concept upon which a Muslim's entire faith rests. According to what I understand of the Sunni tradition, that we believe, or not we, but that they say that Surah Al-Ikhlas carries a weight in terms of the Quran. 1/3 of the weight of the Quran. So if you took the book and you put 1/3 here, and the rest of all the other chapters would be the 2/3 weight of the Quran. Because this is so important about the oneness of Allah. When we understand and really grasp the oneness of Allah, we would understand that from this one atom of life, everything that exists. So if it came from out of this atom of life, that means that everything has some quantity of the essence of Allah in it. Everything.
An aspect.
An aspect. Now see, everything doesn't have consciousness. Everything to the level that we have consciousness, because we have a will. Allah has shared with us His will. Now this microphone has an atom, has atoms in it, and it has electricity in it, even though it's fixed, but it doesn't have the level of consciousness that the human being has. It doesn't have the ability to will itself.
Right.
At least as far as we know.
So that's how you know Allah is nothing but a man.
Couldn't
because
be anything but a
Allah
man.
couldn't be the supreme being to be a microphone.
Couldn't be a microphone,
Right.
couldn't be a plant, couldn't be the rose of Sharon, couldn't be the lily of the valley.
It couldn't be a
Even
candle.
the Bible. Sir?
It couldn't be a candle
It couldn't be a candle.
with a picture of Jesus on
It couldn't be.
or a statue.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, we call him the Rock of Ages, but, he's not the Rock of Ages. Okay.
Couldn't be the sun.
No, couldn't be the Son because the Son is a created thing. Allah created himself. So, now this is how important it is, understanding the oneness of Allah. Now, how do we get with the whole concept of the universe and the people that we call individuals? Well, it says here in the Holy Quran, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, He created you from a single being, nafs or essence. And then He made us made of the same kind. And this is part of Surah 39, the companies, verse 60, verse 6. And what are the nafs? In Arabic, an Arabic word occurring in the Quran and means the self, the psyche, the ego, or the soul, the self, the nafs. So He created us from one soul, one essence, which is His essence. There's only one essence. And it says in the Quran, the word nafs is used both as individualistic, such as in verse 2, Surah 2, verse 48, and the collective sense in Surah 4, verse 1, indicating, or ayat 1, indicating that although humanity is united in possessing the qualities of the nafs, or soul, or consciousness, that's what I want us to stick on, the word consciousness. They are individually responsible for exercising the agency of the free will, okay, that it provides them. Okay, so the consciousness, awareness. That's what we dealt with last week. And this is where we're going here, and we're going to come down to the wombed man. And it says here, could I get a volunteer to read this, please?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Do you see all that on
No.
here? You see this much.
But
I'm just messing with you.
okay. O mankind, surely we have created you from a male and a female and made you tribes and families that you may know each other. Surely the noblest of you with Allah is the most dutiful of you. Surely Allah is all-knowing, all-aware. Al-Hujrah, the apartment, Surah 49:13.
Okay, so I wanted us to point out here that He has created us from mankind, from male and female. But here it says that surely Allah is and parenthetically I put all, because in some translations it says all. Knowing and all aware. So if Allah is all knowing and all aware, what does that mean to you?
That He knows everything.
He knows everything, and He's aware of everything.
Right, so we're
But Master Fard Muhammad is an individual who's occupies a particular space at a particular time. How is he able to know everything?
Because Allah actually inspired in him.
Okay.
Just like Allah inspired in the Holy Prophet. Here.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm with that. I'm with that. Is there any other ways that this is possible?
studying.
Yeah. Studying.
Yeah, that's
Being aware.
what
I think
is meant by
it's like telepathy.
Okay.
Allah is tuned into all of us,
Okay.
mentally, spiritually,
Okay.
and He knows. As the Surah said, He's all-knowing, all-aware.
Okay.
Because even before you come to Him with your supplications, He's already aware
Okay.
of what you need and what you want.
All right. And we're gonna have some Sister Demoiselle and Sister Gabrielle.
Well, I was thinking with Allah after the originator, and him bringing into fruition his second self and coming up with a way to make himself over again, passing down his consciousness. Because at the advent of Master Muhammad, his father was Allah. And so having him study and also being, his father being the Allah at that time, the consciousness of the originator was passed through him to him, and if I'm not mistaken, he was I guess, he had enough capacity to be able to, hold that information, hold that, yeah.
What was the question?
Well, I was trying to get us to understand how does, if Allah came in the person of a human being, how is he able to be all-knowing and all-aware? If he's an individual human being that occupies a space at a particular time.
The same thing Sister Denzel said, but also, it was interesting what Brother Thomas said, it made me think about this on another level. I think you said telepathy. Think about it, when he said telepathy, it made me think of twin telepathy. Everybody heard of that?
Yeah.
A lot of times twins,
Right.
Yeah.
Say the same thing.
yeah, they can sense, even
They
though they
can
can be
feel.
apart,
Right.
but they can sense when, you know, something is going on with the other. Why? Because they're twins.
Right.
What are twins? Twins are people who share the same DNA. They share the same exact makeup. Also with parents and their children. Sometimes, you know, Brother Darrell tells this famous story about how he got in an accident and his mother knew. So she called him on the phone and was like, she just woke up and knew that something was going on. Why? Because he's her child. He is physically came up out of her as a part of her. So there's a connection being that they came from the same material. And so if, you know, Allah is the originator of the heavens and the earth, and he's the source of all of this consciousness, he's connected to all of it.
Right.
Just like twins are connected, and parents and their children are connected. You know, your brother and your sister are connected. It's a collective consciousness down to the genetic makeup of it. There's entanglement. That's the word.
Brother Darrell?
Well, basically, we could be all knowing and all aware. We just gotta. Well, what she just said, and I was just thinking about when Allah created Himself. All what she just said come from that Adam. And all of that is in Allah.
And
It's
it's
the
in
originator.
what?
So, right, it's in all of us.
Yeah.
We just gotta bring it out.
But Allah is much more than a man. In the sense of, you know, he has elevated himself,
Yeah,
mentally.
yes. He's a
physically.
God.
No.
He is
No.
Allah.
He's
He created.
The all in all.
No.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, he's like a mirror to us in terms of what we could be. But that's a long,
Potentiality.
yeah, that's a long process.
We were made in his
Image
Yeah.
and
image.
Right.
The image is not him. When you look in the mirror, that's not you in that mirror.
Mhm.
That's a reflection of you.
Mhm.
So we're made in the reflection of the image of God, Allah.
Mhm.
Okay? So, but that's potentiality,
Mhm.
you know. That image in that mirror is not gonna do anything but be on that mirror. As soon as you walk away, the image is gone, right?
Interestingly enough, about an image, it's one thing we know about an image is the image is not real, or so to speak. If you think about an image as another reality, it's like, you know, it's like a parallel universe,
Mhm.
you know, that does the exact same thing that you do, but y'all can never come in contact, you know, with each other. So it's like they can never exist, but if you step back, the image is gonna step back, but the image is gonna step back in the image reality, in the image world. But the source of the image is on the other side in another universe, but the reaction and the actions are, you know, carried out in another reality.
And if we image, if you will, the behavior of Allah, you're trying to say it's time to go? Okay, well, back to the image. See, y'all didn't let me get into it. So,
You can have another,
See, review is supposed to be one slide, that was your.
no, but you all weren't here, so I didn't want to, because the information was, you know, it was pretty voluminous. But the point is that if you if, say for instance, when you're looking in the mirror, and you are Allah, you're God, the actual object, and you reflect onto you project your image onto the mirror, and the mirror is us. You know, if there's nothing that is impeding the projection, such as poor lighting, a distorted mirror, like the mirrors at the circus, then if the mirror is proper, you know,
It's a flat mirror.
yes, a flat mirror, it'll project back a perfect reflection. And that's the same thing with us. If we're not a distorted mirror by all of our aberrations and all of the different impediments that are within us, we should reflect perfectly, you know, the image of Allah. All right. Quickly hurrying up. Consciousness. That's what I want to deal with. Sister Gabrielle, Brother Thomas, I think, really kind of went after it and dealing with the whole concept of consciousness. The way that Allah most definitely can be all aware and all knowing is that, as Brother Darrell said, that if everything came up out of the atom, that means that there's a certain amount of Allah's consciousness, or even just the matter itself, that is all a part of that original atom. So therefore, if it's a part of the original atom, if we are all a part of that original atom, that means, like, you know, the Quran says that Allah is closer to you than your own jugular vein,
Yeah,
your own life vein.
that's right.
I mean, your life vein is on your body, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
When you pray in the morning time, you never miss your prayers. Is Allah standing right there in front of you, per se, in the
No.
person of a human being?
No.
No,
No.
but he's in.
He's aware because he's always with you.
That's right, yeah.
He's in you.
All seeing,
But-
all knowing.
That's it. So Allah's consciousness, so to speak, moves in and out of everything that exists in this universe. It has direct access. It's like an IP address. All you have to do is dial into it or go to, you know, type the right URL on your search engine, and you go right to the place. It's just simple as that. It is not even rocket science. It ain't spooky. It's just if you have your number, you know, he just, or your IP address, he just checks in on what's going on in that particular expression of himself, if you will. Because we're all divine expressions of
Right.
the Creator or of Allah. So we just need access. And you gain access through that collective consciousness. Are we all there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So consciousness is the state or quality of awareness or of being aware of an external object or something within oneself. It has been defined variously in terms of sentience, awareness, qualia, subjectivity, and the ability to experience or feel wakefulness, having a sense of selfhood or soul. The fact that there is something that it is like to have or be. It and the executive control system of the mind. Okay, so Allah gives us a mind. And within that mind, we have consciousness, awareness. And so when we talk about consciousness, that is actually the God that is in self. As in what Jesus talked about, the I am. When Moses went to Pharaoh, said, well, who sent, you know, who should I tell him that sent me? Say, I am sent you. I am that I am. And that's what it is. And every time we say, I am Thomas, I am strong, I am black, that's the God in you speaking, the I am. So, we're going to stop right here. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Allah formed himself not from a mother, but out of the dark womb of space, space and the darkness of it became his womb, and he came out of that darkness. So, we're gonna stop there because consciousness is manifested through the brain, and yeah. So, inshallah, next week, we're gonna finish this up and talk about this brain, which is a womb, the first womb. So I'll just tell you, that everything is physical starts with a thought. That's where it starts. So that's the first womb. And everybody has a womb, if you have a brain. And then from that womb, then we produce another womb, a second self. And so, with that being said, we'll deal with that whole concept of the wombed man. So are there any comments as we close out? Brother Darren?
No, ma'am.
Because I could see it all over. But you can say it as we're closing up.
I'm good. I'll say it for next week.
You coming next week?
Yes.
All right then, great. That's what it was called, cliffhanger. All right then, well, may Allah bless all of us with the light of His understanding as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Supreme wisdom, some call it the lessons, but I call it life, actual facts, no guessing.